on, guys? Today we're going to be talking about how to take a bass solo. Before we get started, if you guys like this kind of content, make sure to leave a like and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more like this. Also, leave me a comment and let me know what kind of videos you want to see in the future. Let me set the scene here for you. You're on stage, you're playing, you're grooving, you're laying down the meanest bass line of all time, and the guitar player stops playing and he turns around and he goes, "Bass man," and you're like, oh shit. What do I do? So the first thing you need to do, and I hope you already know this at this point if you're on the stage, is you need to figure out the chord progression of what you're playing. Once you do that, you need to figure out the associated scales with those chords. Now, that is a topic for an entirely different video. The chords we're going to be working with today are G minor 7 and C7. The scales we're going to be using are G Dorian and C Mixolydian, respectively. So soloing, in essence, is taking this information and presenting it within a melodic line. So if you're playing bass, you're used to playing bass lines like I was and still am. When you're asked to solo, it's an entirely different thing. You don't have to keep that pulse going, stay in the rhythm for sure, but you don't have to keep that same ostinato bass line. You're really being asked to step out and play more like a guitar player in more of a melodic fashion. The first thing, it's very important to play with confidence. Don't judge yourself for it. If you take a step back and kind of separate yourself from your playing, you're going to find it a lot less stressful to kind of be put in these frontman situations where you got to go and do a bass solo. So with that out of the way, I'm going to go through 5 common soloing techniques that are easy to implement and will help you take your solos to the next level. The first one, chord tones. When you're playing a solo, and you're outlining the chords, what that means is hitting the chord tones on strong beats. That is not a hard and fast rule. You can take your solos wherever you want. You don't have to hit the chord tones every time, but as a general guideline, you want to be hitting the 1, 3, 5, or 7 on, like, for example, beat 1 of the bar. The chord tones for G minor 7 are going to be G, B flat, D, and F. And the chord tones for C7 or C Mixolydian are going to be C, E, G, and B flat. Keep in mind, there's a B flat in both of these and a G in both of these. So if I'm moving between those two chords, I would want to take my line and start it on one chord tone. And then when the chord changes, I would want to hit another chord tone for the other chord. So when the chord switches to G minor, I would want to be hitting either G, B flat, D, or F. And when the chord switches to C7, I'd want to be hitting C, E, G, or B flat. For example, if I was in G minor and I wanted to get to C7, I might play a line like this. That starts on this G, walks up the G minor scale, and then lands on C, which is the 1 of the C Mixolydian scale. I could also continue to walk up instead of going back down. I could play something like this. I'm starting on the 1 of that G minor, and I'm walking the same way up I did before. And then instead of going down to the note C, the 1 of C Mixolydian, I'm going up to the 3 of C Mixolydian. So I'm not starting on the note C, but I am hitting one of the chord tones. And you see it sounds nice with the chords, and the line continues to move in the same direction. You can also do the same thing with the 5. You could do the same thing with the flat 7. You could do the same thing with the 1. You could start on the 3 of G minor if you wanted to. And let's say, for example, you were going to go to the 3 of G minor to the 5 of C Mixolydian. My line starting here on B flat and ending on G, the 5 of C Mixolydian. So you can already probably tell there's a lot of different ways to go about this, and there's no right way to do it. So the second technique that I want to go over is chromatic approach notes. And these notes are exactly what they say. They're chromatic notes that approach, and what they're approaching is one of the chord tones. You can use them like ideas from a scale or from an arpeggio, except you're pulling them from the chromatic scale. You're pulling them from notes that are directly adjacent to the chord tone. So instead of going like this, I could go up to that C. I'm hitting that C from a chromatic approach note from the bottom. I'm going G, A, B flat, B, C. Now, the note B is not in the key of G minor. That note comes from an entirely different place. But the reason why it works is because you're moving that line up chromatically, and that note is directly a half step below one of your chord tones. You can go up, you can go down. So you could do a triple or a double chromatic approach. Right? As long as you're landing on that chord tone, that's what matters. The third technique that I want to go over, and this is a very important one, repetition, repetition, repetition. If you play something and it sounds good, play it again. If you play something and it sounds bad, play it again. That's how you get that, like, you can do them exactly the same. You could switch the octaves. But as long as something's remaining consistent, either the rhythm, the notes, something in the line needs to remain the same, and do it again and again and again, build variations on it, and slowly evolve it into something else. When you repeat something, it draws attention to it, and it makes it more significant when you play it again and again and again and again. It doesn't have to be exactly the same every time. You can mess with it a little bit. Like if I was going, I'm taking that little diminished lick and I'm switching between the 1 and the flat 9 on the top, but the rhythm is still remaining the same in either one. The fourth technique that I want to go over is leaving space. You should not be playing a note all the time. And this kind of goes into something called phrasing. The same way you talk, I'm leaving gaps when I speak so that it's easier to understand and it's easier to pick apart the words that I'm saying. If I was to speak without leaving a pause, my words would get ahead of my thoughts and I wouldn't be able to think about what I'm saying. And the listener wouldn't be able to have time to comprehend the things that I'm saying. So leaving space and having phrases, really important. And it's going to make it overall sound much more cohesive. The fifth technique, play lines, not licks. For example, a lick is like a, which is fine to throw it in there once in a while, but if it's just that over and over and over and over, there's not a lot of music being played. Say something with your music. Say something when you're trying to solo. Just a simple like, you're going to find that if you're implementing the first four techniques, that this one is going to be a lot easier to manage. The way to keep this in line is to listen to what you're doing, think about what you're doing, ask yourself, okay, am I just wiggling my fingers around and playing really fast, or am I actually thinking about what I'm playing? If you have an idea about what you're doing, then it's going to sound like you have an idea about what you're doing. The last thing I want to talk about is just go with it. Just go with it. Learning to solo is terrifying and it's very difficult to implement that into your playing, especially if all you've been doing is playing bass lines. It's an entirely different skill set to learn and it can get wildly complicated. So take it slow, and when you're soloing, go with the flow. Just like if you play a wrong note, fix it. You know, don't stop playing and go back and try to edit it and make it something that it's not. Build that line into your playing. Just keep going. If you guys are interested in learning more, I have all the backing tracks and scale diagrams on my website for free. All you have to do is sign up with your email, go into the tabs and backing tracks section and click on this video within it, and you'll find all of that information down below. If you guys like the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment, let me know what techniques you want to learn so I can make a video on it later. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.